NWC. I was going to say to warmly welcome you, but I think I wouldn't want to warmly welcome anybody in this temperature. And that is why today I didn't wear a suit. I think the PM is taking core from me because I'm wearing... I want to make it clear, guys. This is not a bush jacket. This is a wire bearer. Bush jackets were worn by some folks in the 70s and so on. So this is an upgrade. I don't know why the PM is wearing the same thing today, but I have to show a little shade on him as well, you know. But, you know, we continue to work in the commission to ensure that we issue the best value to the folks that are the beneficiary. The NWC is working hard to be very efficient in bringing portable water to everyone. And we want to continue to acknowledge that efficiency and continue to give a good service. So once again, thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to hearing from our Prime Minister as he delivers shortly.
Thank you, Chairman. It's our desire to continuously improve the efficiency within the organization because we know for sure the demand on our services, especially during times like now. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a slight adjustment to your program, and I'm going to call on Councillor Samuels to bring greetings on behalf of His Worship, Senator Delroy Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnett, moderator. Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Onis, Councillor Dobson, Springfield Division, other members of the KSAC staff, members of the National Water Commission staff, the Jamaica Defence Force members, members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, members of the Port Royal community, members of the media, distinguished guests, good afternoon to you all. It's my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of His Worship, the Mayor of Kingston, Senator Councillor Delroy Williams, and the entire KSAC team. Today marks a significant milestone in the development and infrastructure of Port Royal as we gather to signify the government's commitment to improve the lives of our citizens through meaningful and sustainable projects. Port Royal, being of tremendous cultural and historical significance to Jamaica, has always been a priority both to the KSAC and the central government. As such, we are indeed pleased to be participating in today's groundbreaking exercise to initiate this well-needed project to effectively improve the water supply to this locale. This well-known needed resource will facilitate massive improvement in the daily lives of the citizens here in Port Royal. You will agree that the awesome gastronomic experience, that being the world-renowned fish, is one key identifier that Port Royal is known for. In addition, the expected higher demand for the use of the floating pier is anticipated as we expect increased tourist arrival by sea. The additional installment of dormitory housing for students of the Caribbean Maritime Institute, CMU, the expansion and upgrade of the Grand Excelsior Hotel, and the consistent service of the JDF Coast Guard, among others. Water is indeed life, and the improved supply will undoubtedly support a healthier community and a more robust local economy. It is with the foregoing in mind that the KSAC pledges our support to this project and stands ready to offer our operational and technical advice. We wish the project leaders, technical and managerial stakeholders, and the beneficiaries every success. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Samuels. You know, it is often said that when water is most important is when you don't have it. Oftentimes, while it is running, who cares? So I'm just going to use this opportunity, as I've always done, to just encourage everyone. Care, protect, use wisely the available water resource, the potable water resource that we provide. It is, you know, it is often said, and something I've used before by John Ford, men work on earth at many things. Some till the soil, a few are kings. But the noblest job beneath the sun is making running water run. Think about it for a moment. The rain fell, you catch it? That's okay. But when you want it most, you need that water to be always running through that pipe. And that is the real mandate of the NWC. I won't go into any further lecturing. Councillor Lorraine, thank you very much. You know, but they always say, a rose by any other name is just as sweet. So, Councillor Lorraine Dobson, welcome to the podium to bring greetings on behalf of yourself and MP Philip Paulwell.
Mr. Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Mark Barnett, Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Councillor Donovan Samuels, representing His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Delroy Williams, my own CEO, Mr. Robert Hill, members of the board of the National Water Commission, headed by the President and the Chairman, members of staff for the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, members of staff, National Water Commission, stakeholders, members of the police force, headed by our Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I stand here today to bring brief remarks on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Philip Paulwell, and myself, Lorraine Dobson, in my capacity as Councillor for the Springfield Division, and more importantly, a resident of Port Royal. The groundbreaking, a much-awaited occasion, really signifies a step in the right direction for our community. After fervent lobbying over the years by the Member of Parliament and myself for improved water infrastructure in Port Royal, the government and the National Water Commission has responded to our concerns. And more so, the understandable frustration of the people. Being a resident of Port Royal all my life, I can tell you it has not been easy living under the previous water conditions. Many days, and on few occasions, weeks, we have had to do without running water as a result of broken mains, rotten pipes, or even pipes being washed away by high tide. And to top it off, it was not particularly easy for me to face the resident when the fix would not come instantaneous. I must say thanks to NWC team, Ms. Ann Bolt and Mr. Delano Williams, who sometimes hear my frustration, but has always been responsive, even at times when they were not aware of the situation. But as the saying goes, nothing happens before its time, and we are also grateful that in all this, some of our young men have been gainfully employed. Again, on behalf of Mr. Paulwell, the residents, and myself, I just want to extend our appreciation and eagerly await the commissioning of the new and improved system. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lorraine. I'm not going to say. As I indicated, ladies and gentlemen, there's a slight adjustment to our program. And so I'm going to ask you to turn your attention to the video screens to watch a very short video, no more than 5 minutes. Thank you.
Residents of Port Royal, it's your turn. Get ready to experience a significant improvement in your water supply, as the National Water Commission is now upgrading the transmission main that serves your community. Under the Port Royal Potable Water Transmission Main Upgrade Project, the existing pipeline will be replaced so that you and those who use the Palisades Strip and the Port Royal Shipping Port will enjoy the benefits of reliable and consistent service.
The project commenced approximately 4 weeks now, and we're looking to complete within 4 months. Outside of the improved in reliability of service, this line will allow the NWC to increase the volume of water moved into the Port Royal area with the anticipation of future development.
This includes the planned development of the cruise ship terminal and associated attractions, as well as the upgrading of social infrastructure, including housing. Additionally, the recently completed works along Spanish Town Road will allow the transmission of water from St. Catherine to augment the Mona system. And this augmentation will benefit the eastern areas of the island, such as Harbour View, as well as Port Royal and its environs. The project involves the supply and installation of approximately 8.6 kilometers of 300 millimeters or 12 inches of pipeline from the Norman Manley International Airport roundabout to the Port Royal pumping station. Sections of the current transmission main are laid along the Palisades coastline peninsula and sunken in the sand and or submerged in the coastal waters. Added to this is the fact that the transmission main is aged cast iron. Due to these factors, the transmission main is very fragile. It is susceptible to damage and difficult to locate to carry out speedy repairs. When the existing transmission main is replaced with high-density polyethylene pipes, there will be an overall improvement in service delivery because these new pipes are conducive to the environment.
The water table here is quite high. So what happens is that the trench that the pipeline is going to be placed in is going to be saturated with water, along with the fact that it's the mangrove, so there's some amount of salt in it. This pipeline was specifically designed to withstand the conditions along the Port Royal Main Road.
The pipe will be laid on the soft shoulder of the edge of the roadway. Sections of the pipeline are now being fused as part of the upgrading process. And as part of the overall management of the project, there is a traffic plan that is being enforced. Upgrading the NWC's pumping station to improve the water distribution to Port Royal and its environs is another major component of the project.
We will be upgrading the treatment facility, putting in resilience in terms of additional pumping units and also a standby generator in case there is a power outage. So in terms of this aspect of the project, the cost of this project is approximately $100 million.
Meanwhile, residents were not left out of the loop.
We've sensitized the public in this area. We had the town meeting. Everybody was aware of what's going to be happening, and they actually want it to happen.
This is a multi-million-dollar investment, and because every drop counts, residents are being reminded to honor their obligation.
And so we expect that persons will be partnering with us, paying their bills on time, paying it in full for good quality service that they are receiving from the Water Commission.
This has been long in coming, but the wait will soon be over. There is great anticipation and expectation.
Running the pipe along the road would be much better, secured, more secured, because the sea would have to come very far to take those pipes.
It would be good if it worked, you know, because trust me, we'll go through hell. I hope the transformation works.
That is good because the water thing now is very bad over here right now, right? Because most time you get water in the night and not in the day, right? So improvement will be great.
Because all are fresh, I couldn't even bathe. A bucket me have to bathe in. So that will help a whole lot, you know what I mean?
Yes, I feel good about that. It's a good project for the community, beneficial to the youth and the kids and the elderly people, and everybody gonna benefit from it. So it's a good move.
The Port Royal Portable Water Transmission Main Upgrade Project, another example of the NWC's innovation and customer-centric core values, serving you in so many ways.
Thank you. It has been said over and over, of all the infrastructure services, water is the only one essential to life, health and development. And so, as I've indicated earlier, today we are in Port Royal, but NWC is executing projects in all 14 parishes simultaneously across the island. In fact, our capital budget for 2023-2024 is just shy of $7.5 billion of infrastructure work that we intend to execute. So we are committed to developing, supporting development, improving lives, make communities happy. And so, as the video said, partner with us, because your contribution is what is going to make the lives of others who we are yet to touch be as equally happy as yours when the project is completed. So we want you to embrace us. Don't necessarily always quarrel with us, because we are doing what is required. I just want to do a little plug of advertisement. The water that you're drinking, ladies and gentlemen, is courtesy of the NWC's bottled water. So I just want to make sure, if and when you see it on the market, please default to that water. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, our Prime Minister was slightly delayed. Not late, delayed. And so I want to take this opportunity to introduce the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, to deliver the keynote remarks. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your... Please, thank you everyone, thank you. Thank you for the mastery of the ceremony. It's always good to be with the people of Port Royal. Port Royal was once the largest city in the Caribbean, founded, I believe, in 1494. It was once the richest city in the Western Hemisphere. There are other titles attached to it, but we won't recall those. But today, Port Royal is probably the most peaceful place in Jamaica. I visit Port Royal from time to time, and I can tell you that some of the most beautiful, friendly, hardworking people live in this little township. In fact, I was here a few months ago, having decided to take on a jog from the roundabout at the airport to the church in the square. And when I arrived, I was greeted by some lovely ladies. A few of them are across the way there, and one right there, yes. And we ended up having conducted parliament in the town square, talking about all kinds of issues, consultations. And one of the issues which was of great concern to the residents was the lack of reliable water supply. And I did make the commitment at the time that we had a plan in place to deliver reliable potable water to the town. I knew that they took me at my word, but they did not necessarily believe that the day would come. Today, I'm happy to say that the promise which was made is being fulfilled. Yes, my friend, the time came for it now. So having introduced that element of the conversation, allow me then to acknowledge your hard-working counselor, Councillor Lorraine Dobson. Good to see you, Lorraine. Allow me as well to acknowledge Councillor Donovan Samuels, representing His Worship, the Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew. Mr. Michael Shaw, what you have on, sir, is a bush jacket. This is a guayabera. And of course, the residents of Port Royal who have come to witness this important day in the history of your lovely township. Let me give you a historical context of why this is important. Why would the Prime Minister take time out of his busy schedule to come and break ground for the installation of water mains? This should be a routine event right across Jamaica, and indeed it is. I have asked Minister Matthew Samuda to take on that task for me because it has become such a regular occurrence that the NWC is replacing or installing new pipes right across Jamaica. And as Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, under which the NWC falls, I wouldn't be able to attend all the ceremonies that are important to mark these important milestones. Minister Samuda asked me to apologize. He is in Parliament for an important debate. So I am here to officiate as part of my duties as the Minister of Water. But it is important because I see the Executive Director of the NWA here, Mr. E.G. Hunter, who is also an engineer and who was also head of the NWC at one point in time. So he will immediately, and I see the President drawing close just in case he thinks that I have other intentions for him. However, in 1927, the KSAC, as it was then, made an investment to build the Hermitage Dam. 1927. Local government, but under a colonial government. We were not yet independent. In fact, we didn't even have self-government at that time. So the funding was from local taxes, yes, but it was supported by the colonial office. That investment in water infrastructure allowed for the expansion of Kingston and St. Andrew. In fact, the population doubled after that. In 1946, the colonial office gave a grant to build the Mona Dam. 1946. Again, under colonial government. That investment sparked an explosion in housing estates in and around Kingston. In fact, a few years after that, in the early 1950s, we had the development of the Mona housing estate. You see what I'm saying? That the investment in these critical infrastructure affords the development all around our city. Once you put in place water and road infrastructure, electricity, and in today's context, sewage and internet, you are going to see residential, commercial, and industrial development in an orderly way mushroom. But there is a more fundamental point which I would want to bring to your attention. We have not done any such major infrastructure development in water, certainly in this side of Jamaica, since then. The last one that we did would be to bring water from St. Thomas into Kingston. Remind me, Chairman, that is the big pipeline. In 1987, the project is the Yalas pipeline. The name escaped me a while ago. That was the last one in 1987. I come to this office, therefore, well seized of the importance of building out infrastructure. If we do not build infrastructure, we won't be able to properly provide the housing, the industrial and commercial development that we all want. So I make it a priority of the government to invest heavily in infrastructure. In fact, I can say without any contradiction that this administration will be noted in history for the investments it has made in infrastructure. Now, there is another point that I want to bring to your attention. Infrastructure cannot be undertaken without finance. There is a notion in some of our minds that the government can just build roads, lay pipes, build houses, put in sewage plants, and there is no connection to the fact that it has to be paid for. It has to be paid for either now or amortized, meaning paid for over the life of the asset, or paid for at the end of the asset, or you have to pay for it as you use it. So for example, toll roads, we pay for it as you use it. Houses, we amortize it. And projects like these, we have to pay for them up front. Where does the money come from to pay for them? It comes from your taxes, largely. In the case of the NWC, it comes from your water rates that you pay. Some of it, however, comes from borrowing. And the sad thing about the Jamaican context, my friends, is that for the last 40 years, we have borrowed to finance development. In fact, if you look at all the infrastructure development that we have done, 90% of them within the last 40 years would have been financed by some form of borrowing or deferred expenditure. In fact, the NWC is a case in point of this. Most, if not all, of its infrastructure development is undertaken by some form of borrowing. Borrowing to the point where it would have imperiled their balance sheet as a business going in concern. Meaning that at some points in time, the NWC would have been classified as close to bankruptcy, in financial peril. And the government would have had to step in and take over those loans and take those loans off their balance sheet and put it on the public's balance sheet. There is an argument going around, a narrative, that nothing is happening in the country, that everything is as it was before. My job is to point out to you in such a way as to remove your resistance to good news or resistance to change. My friends, things have changed. A lot of things are the way they were. A lot of things that need to change have not yet changed. But things are changing. We are able today to finance infrastructure development, not from borrowing, not from deferred expenditure, but from our budget. We are able to finance your needs, the water needs, not by going to IMF or World Bank or bilateral or other banks. We are able to finance our projects from our budget. That's a massive change. Massive change. Previously, we used to spend upwards of 60% of every dollar that we earn to repay debt. Now, we are spending just about 30% of every dollar we earn to repay debt. Isn't that a profound and fundamental change in our country? And that will only have knock-on effects on everything. Because, my friends, this installation of new water main in Port Royal is going to improve the quality of life for the 4 ladies that I met who were complaining about the water supply in the area. In a few months, that will no longer be a complaint. And in the next budget year, we will now be able to focus on doing some revetment works along the coastline here to protect the land from a catastrophic weather event should one occur. And then we will be able to build more social housing. The other complaint of the people of Port Royal about the condition of their housing. And then the following year, we can seek to improve roads and put in drains. And then the following year, we can look to improve the school. All of these are now possible and in train. What that means is that if you as the citizens change your outlook on life and say, good is going to come, let me prepare for a new day in Jamaica, instead of saying not going on, change your attitude and say, good is going to come, let me take advantage of the good that is happening and prepare for good to come. Yes. Housing is going to get better. The sewage is already improved. Water is going to get better. Drainage is going to get better. We have invested already in a new cruise pier and putting in facilities for cruise shipping. This community is set for prosperity. But prosperity, when it drops, it is not going to drop like manna. And you don't have to don't do anything to get it. You have to go and work for it. So we have said, we are giving you the opportunity to go to heart and get a skill. You don't have to pay for it. So that you can have a skill to participate in this new and improved Jamaica. Whether it is to get training as a tour guide so that when the cruise ships start to come, you are qualified. Whether it is to get certified as a proper chef. Anyway, nobody around here needs to be certified as chef. Because the best cooking takes place right here in Port Royal. But you get my point. That too often it is the outlook that we take that prevents us from embracing change. Everything that I have said here is factual. Everything that I have said. But it is also a fact that your mindset may not be at the point where you are ready to embrace the change. My job is to point it out to you and to bring you along and to help you understand that the change is coming. It is a fact we have already put in a new sewage plant. It is a fact we have already put in new facilities for cruise ships, including a new reception area. We are building a new restaurant. We have improved the museum. All of those are facts. And now we are bringing in the water. Next step after that, we have to do some revetment work to protect this area. Then we can put in the housing. We're going to do the drainage work because we know when it's high tide, you get flooded out. And then we're going to improve the social housing because we know that is a problem. And then you will be set to have an economy, to have tourism. Port Royal can be a place that hosts festivals. You know, this would be an ideal place for a film festival. It would be an ideal place for a fashion festival, for a food festival. Port Royal can develop its own economy to bring prosperity to its people. But we have to start thinking in the change mode. We have to start to see transformation and stop listening to negatives. Start thinking positive. So, my friends, I think I have delivered my speech. My advisors are going to be upset that I did not follow the script. There are some important points that have to be delivered nonetheless. So let me see if I can quickly run through those very important points. My understanding of the project is that this is an extension of the installation of 16-inch water mains coming all the way from 3 miles from Harborview roundabout, but it connects from the 3 miles. It will be reduced to an 8-inch water main, but in what is called, let me see if I can get the right name, the pipe that you're going to be using. It's not going to be the old metal pipes, which are just not suitable for the environment. It is called the HDP, the high density polyethylene pipes. And you would have seen them already laid out along the roadway when you are driving in. And these pipes are joined together in a chemical and mechanical process that fuses the pipes, so you don't have to worry about leaks. You know, when you mechanically join the pipes together, After a time, they contract, they expand, they contract, they expand, they crack, and then you have leaks. Nothing like that will happen. You know, when you use the metal pipes, after a while, the size of the pipes gets smaller because there's a buildup of sediment. But worse than that, the pipes rot. And when there is vibration, then they collapse. These pipes, there may be some buildup of sediment, but not much, and there is technology now to clean the pipes quickly, but these pipes will not collapse. The best thing, of course, is that the probability of these pipes leaking, while it's not zero, is far lower than the metal pipes. So the savings that we will have for using these pipes will be significant. With those features of the pipes, it means that you will have a greater uptime with water. With the other pipes, the downtime would be greater. If a heavy truck drives, too much vibration, you could end up with a crack, a leak underground, you may not even know, and then you're out of water for several days. With these pipes, the probability of that happening is extremely low. So the uptime of service will be very high. I wish to endorse what was said by both the chairman and the president. In partnership, we would like you to make your regular partner contribution. I'm saying it in a very friendly way, but in case it missed you, we are asking you to pay your water rates. Yes, my friend. Yes. Yes. You want a house? I'm going to ask somebody to take your details. But as you have mentioned that, so let me finish and see if there is any other thing I need to mention here. Minister Samuda is here, and I know he would be upset if I didn't mention that we are still in a drought. The conditions in terms of rainfall is improving, but we are still in a drought. So I must ask you, even though you're going to get more reliable water supply, that you use it conservatively, meaning that you put in place the measures to ensure that there is no wastage and you use only what you need. So things like washing your cars and watering lawns, we ask you to dispense with those until the various control orders for the use of water is lifted. We are expecting that coming closer to the end of the year, we should see some improvement in the drought conditions, but we can't promise that. In fact, we say that there is about a 40% chance that the drought conditions will lift coming closer to the end of the year. So therefore, the posture that you should take is one of being very cautious and conservative in the use of water. The government has started the distribution of water tanks right across the island. We will be distributing in the next 5 years 50,000 water tanks. This is part of a greater strategy of building water resilience in the country. The macro strategy is to ensure that the NWC has storage and that the NWC has some redundancies in storage. But the micro strategy at the household level is to ensure that the household has storage capabilities. And in some communities and with some households, we will convert these tanks into storage for rainwater harvesting. So not only will we help the household with water tanks, we will also help to put the guttering where it is feasible on these homes. The critical feature of the distribution of these water tanks is that they will be all geolocated. So we will know where the tanks are. And why is this? It is important that should there be a major catastrophic event, for example, let's say the drought continues and several parishes have absolutely no water supply, then the government would have to deliver. Instead of delivering in a random way, we can now deliver in a strategic way because we know where the tanks are located. We can pre-plan delivery routes. And so that is the thinking and strategy behind the distribution of the tanks. Some people may feel that the distribution of the tanks is just a political ploy or a political gimmick. Absolutely not. This is a well-thought-out strategy for building resilience in Jamaica. We live in a world where we have to take eventualities seriously. If something bad can go wrong, it probably will. And therefore, we have to plan for it. We have to be resilient. That means we have a plan in place that should something happen, we can address it, deal with it, but more than that, we can recover quickly. And because that has been the posture of the government, we were able to respond to COVID, for example, and recover even better than pre-COVID. Now we have a drought. Last time we experienced a drought, the number of complaints was significant. This year, complaints, yes, but it was not at the point where it was crisis. Why? Because we have put in place several measures to ease the impact of drought. One of which was to put in, to replace a 60-year-old water main along the Mandela Highway, along Spanish Town Road, coming all the way down to, remind me, Chairman, to South Camp Road. That brought in several million gallons of water into the corporate area. That eased the drought conditions. So, again, going back to the theme that many good things are happening in your country. This installation of the water main to Port Royal is one of them. And I'm certain that the people of Port Royal are thankful that this is finally going to be done. I end by saying, keep the faith, keep a positive outlook, because God has a plan for the people of Jamaica, a plan not to harm you, but a plan to prosper you and give you hope. God bless you.
Well said, Prime Minister. Thank you very much. So let me use the opportunity to recognize Minister Senator Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Your apologies were tendered, sir. We know you were busy dealing with the nation's business. So, without further ado, and as I've indicated, we were moving very briskly. I'm going to call upon Minister Samuda to give the vote of thanks. But just to say before Minister Samuda comes to the podium, there will be a walk to the side, Prime Minister, and the intention is for you to observe the welding procedure that is happening with the HDP pipes, as well as doing the official groundbreaking. As you have indicated, the pipes are on top of the ground, so no ground has already broken, and you will do the official breaking of the ground so that the actual construction on the ground can commence. Minister Samuda.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm trusting that protocol was established several times over while I was on the way here. I wish to again apologize for my lateness, but I did have some duties in the Senate which did detain us. Prime Minister, we want to start first by thanking you. But I'm going to pause on that thanks for just a second because I think it's important that we thank two ladies that work at your office. One, Charmaine Anderson, and one, Merle Donaldson. Because we had to do very many creative things with your schedule to ensure that you were indeed able to join us this afternoon. You see, well, I assure you, Prime Minister, that's not what he believes. But, ladies and gentlemen, there are 9 other groundbreakings that we have been trying to get the Prime Minister to attend to. The people of Port Royal should be assured that this one is near and dear to his heart, as all of them are. But he has articulated a vision for the development of Port Royal. And not just a vision, he has shown action and commitment in the investment in the future of Port Royal, not just broadly, but for the people, for their residential status, and for their prosperity. And for that, Prime Minister, we thank you for the commitment and the follow-through in ensuring that this investment happens with this most recent investment in their water supplies. So thank you, Prime Minister, both for being here and for your fierce commitment to the people of Port Royal. The Prime Minister, through his government, through your government, also has a fierce commitment broadly to SDG 6, which is the commitment to ensure every citizen has potable water and access to sanitation, and indeed more broadly to our own Vision 2030. And it is through his policy direction that myself, PS, the Honorable Audrey Sewell, I'm not seeing her, and the chairman and indeed the broader board of the NWC and the management of the NWC and indeed all stakeholders, Prime Minister, continue to work around the clock to ensure that these commitments that us as a state have made are indeed fulfilled. And we thank you for driving that process and for assisting us certainly when we have some tough negotiations from time to time with the Ministry of Finance, but we are proceeding apace. I wish to thank all those who would have worked on this project to bring us to this point. The staff at the NWC, Prime Minister, has been delivering projects and deploying capital at an unprecedented rate and should be acknowledged. The technical team at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation that get us over the hill, certainly with the cabinet approvals, etc., also should be thanked. And certainly PS Sewell and your entire water policy team is working around the clock, Prime Minister. I wish to also acknowledge our contractors and our contracting partners in Astram. Thank you for the work that is underway as well. But before closing, Prime Minister, we also have to acknowledge those who worked on the event. Because for those who don't know, it is not an easy task, getting the Prime Minister, getting into his diary, but then it's also a more difficult task planning for wherever he goes. There's a bit of an ecosystem that must be contended with. So I thank those who would have put in place the arrangements for this event. But in closing, Prime Minister, this is a part of a much broader project that you have entrusted and instructed us to accomplish, which is water resilience for Kingston and St. Andrew. And there are several components to that, much of which would have been articulated earlier, certainly all of which would have been articulated in your budget presentation. We just wish to assure citizens of Kingston and St. Andrew, certainly Portmore and Spanish Town and Old Harbour, that the projects that will bring water resilience to over half of Jamaica's population is indeed underway. That goes from source to increased storage to reduced NRW and leaky pipes. But Prime Minister, we have a few more and we are going to ask you for a couple more groundbreakings before the end of the year because we think having made those commitments, people need to see the work start. And with that, I thank you this evening and we look forward to the tour.
Thank you, Minister Samuda. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for your patience and for listening, and I hope in the end you would have learned a few things which you will eventually practice, we hope. Prime Minister, I'm going to invite you and Minister Chairman, Councillor, both councillors, yes, to lead the proceedings. I will be there to the site just across from the NWC's pumping station. It's a little walk, but I know you're fit. You can do it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I believe refreshment is provided and continue to rehydrate. with NWC tap water. Very good water. Thank you very much.